We're now going to review lesson 20. So please bring up your final examination dictation transcript, and we're going to use this transcript to review lesson 20. Lesson 20 is keyboard maps, macros, and skill refinement. So keyboard maps are charts of all the possible key combinations that can be executed on our keyboard that correlate with what we want to happen when each key or a combination of keys is executed while we are editing in Case Catalyst. So we have keys that are already assigned to special commands, like the F8 key is the scan key, the F9 key is the key that we use to bring our includes in. So we can edit the default keyboard map to make it suit you, to customize the keyboard map. In this particular lesson, we're going to use our default keyboard map, and that's the one that we use most often unless you customize a keyboard map for your editing procedures. Okay, maybe you've come across an instance where you have been typing in your transcript and all of a sudden as you're typing something odd is going on, and that's because your keyboard map has switched from default to some other keyboard map. So the keyboard map, you can see which keyboard map that you are currently in. If you look at the bottom right-hand side of your screen while you are in Edit, the KBD map should say default if that's the keyboard map that you want to work in. If you've customized your keyboard map, of course, use that keyboard map. But if you are editing in a transcript, and you're trying to define something and it's not working, make sure you find on the lower right-hand corner that you are actually in the default keyboard map. If you're not, you're probably not able to edit the way that you're used to editing. Okay, so in this transcript, we're going to look at the keyboard map first of all, and then we're going to create some macros. So first of all, at our Manage Jobs screen, let's go back to our Manage Jobs screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at our default keyboard map. So let's go up to File. Scroll over to Open. Go on over to List Table. And scroll over to Keyboard Map. And when you do that, the Open Existing Document dialog box appears. So we're going to look at our default keyboard map. Our keyboard maps are located inside our System Files case. So when we look in, we want to make sure that we're looking in our System Files case. If it doesn't say System Files, use that drop-down arrow and select your System Files case. From there, find the file that says Default. Let's double-click on that default, and our default keyboard map appears. Our keyboard maps are arranged in 3 columns. And if we can't see one of the columns, let's use our mouse, go up to the separator, and we can drag the information over. Okay. So if we wanted to change a keyboard map entry, so let's say, for instance, we want to assign the F12 key to save our file. Instead of holding down the Control key and pressing the R or going up to File, Save, we want to use our F12 key. So let's locate the F12 key first of all. So go ahead and click somewhere in the middle of your screen. And let's go ahead and press the F on our keyboard. That brings us down to the F in our key column. Okay, let's find the F12. And my F12 says my save file is already, I'm going to go ahead and erase that so I can do it from the beginning. Okay, so let's, at the F12, we're going to double click on that entry. Okay, our assign key to function dialog box appears. Okay, let's locate under functions on the right-hand side, save file. So let's use that scroll bar. Let's scroll all the way down to save file. Let's highlight save file. All right. Now on the left-hand side where it says key information, underneath key, F12 is selected, and we want the key only. We don't want the control key plus this key. We don't want the shift key plus the key, and we don't want the control shift plus the key. So we want key only selected. Now we're going to go ahead and click on assign. And now we can click on close. And we can see on our screen, in our key column, the F12, in our function column, now we have save file. So go ahead and write that down. So from now on, when you want to save a file, all you need to do is press the F12. All right, so what if I wanted to perhaps use the Control S because I hadn't defined it yet, and I wanted my Control S to also save my file? Let's go back up to the beginning. Okay, so now I'm going to look for my S. Okay, so I just tapped on the S. I'm brought down to the key column, alphabetical order, to the S, and I'm looking for the S plus control. I already have S plus the control key designated as my save file. If I didn't, I can go ahead and double click on that. My assign key to function dialog box appears. My key is the S. And now with this one, I want to use the control button plus the S key. So I selected control plus key. Over on the right side under functions, I want to scroll down to save file if I hadn't already. And I want to assign that key and then click close. So now I have my control plus the S, and I have the F12 key. Okay, so that's pretty cool, right? So the keyboard map gives you just so many opportunities. You can customize this keyboard map any way you want. All right, it's very important that you save your changes before you exit your keyboard map. So right-click, save, and close. All right, so now I'm going back to that final examination transcript. I hadn't closed it, I just left it open. We're going to talk about macros. So macros are features in Edit where we can record a series of keystrokes or commands. We play those keystrokes back, and Catalyst does what we wanted it to do in Edit. We can assign a macro to a key. or a combination of keys so that we can easily play back our macro. So for instance, when we define two-stroke word, we would have to mark the steno outline, right? So we would have to mark it because it's two strokes. And then we would have to hold the control key down and either press the J for J define or D for D define. And then we would type the word in. Okay, so what if we could just hold down the control plus the number 2 and our D-define dialog box appeared? That would save some time in editing, right? All right, so let's test that out. So macros, you would use a macro when you routinely use a series of keystrokes to perform any type of function in Catalyst, whether it's to format, to insert text, to global. Okay, macros are shortcuts. All right, so with our transcript pulled up, I'm going to look for a two-stroke outline, and I can see one right here. It's really, really important when you're creating a macro to create that macro in a slow manner, a slow and deliberate manner. If you make a mistake, it's okay, but you have to start over. Okay, so recording the macro, there are a few steps. So first of all, I've selected a two-stroke outline. Now what I need to do is I press the Alt key and the T at the same time. My Tools menu appears. I press the M for macro and the R for record. But before you do that, I've got to tell you, if you make a mistake, just start over. Okay, so R for record. So what am I going to do here? I am going to make a macro for a two-stroke D-define. So when we're D-defining, what do we do first? We have to mark the two strokes. So I'm marking those two strokes. Now I hold the control key down and I press the D for D-define. I do not actually want to define the word here. Okay, I'm only creating the commands. I don't want to put the word Matthew in my new text field. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the stop button. And I should have told you, when you use the Alt T M R, up at the top of your screen, you see record macro. So that's recording any keystrokes that you make on your keyboard. Okay, so now I'm going to press stop. My save macro dialog box appears. So now I'm going to name this file, and I'm going to name this file two-stroke D-define. Next, I want to make sure that only assign to key in keyboard map is selected. Okay, make sure there's a check mark in front of assign to key in keyboard map. I'm going to click on save. Catalyst tells me I already have one. Do I want to replace it? I'm just going to say yes. Now the open keyboard dialog box appears. We want to select our default keyboard here. So I'm double clicking on the default keyboard. My assign key to function dialog box appears. And I said that I wanted to use the control key plus the number 2. So let's first of all, on the left-hand side under key, let's use that drop-down arrow and scroll down to the digit 2. Now I want to make sure that control plus key is selected. On the right-hand side under functions, two-stroke D define is selected. If it's not, just go ahead and scroll down until you find it, and then click on assign. Close that assign key to function. I'm closing the global D define. I am going to save my keyboard map, and I'm going to close my keyboard map. Save and close. All right, so let's test it out. I go to the beginning of Matthew, and I hold the control key down, and I press the number 2, and my global D define dialog box appears. Now I can define Matthew. All right, so what was our command that we just created, that macro? Control 2 for a two-stroke D define. Okay, so write that down. So far we have our F12 is save, our Control S is save, and we just created a two-stroke D define macro. Now, would we ever want to create a one-stroke macro? No, because we don't need to highlight anything. All we need to do is hold the control key down and press the D or the J. Okay, so what if I wanted to create a two-stroke J define now? Okay, a two-stroke J define. Very easily. So first of all, in my transcript, let me find a two-stroke word, and there just happens to be the word Jackson here. And we're going to perform the same steps until we get to the control J. All right, so put your cursor in front of that two-stroke outline, hold the Alt key down, press the T. Press the M for macro, R for record. You can see up at the top of the screen that record macro little box is up there. So I need to mark this, right? So I'm marking both strokes. And now I'm holding the control key down and I'm pressing the J because I want the two-stroke J define. Now I need to take my mouse and go up to the record macro box and click on stop. My save macro dialog box appears, and I'm going to call this two-stroke, J define. Make sure that assign to key in keyboard map is selected, and I'm going to click on save. My open keyboard map dialog box appears. I'm going to select the default keyboard map by double-clicking it. Okay, so what do I want to use for my keys? Well, I want to use the control key, I know that. And how about, what if I just select the number 4? Let's see if it'll do it. Okay, so I've changed the key to 4, control plus key, two-stroke J define. Now, if something is already assigned to control 4, then Catalyst is going to tell me, and I'm not going to be able to assign those keys. I'm going to click on assign. Looks like nothing is assigned to that. I'm going to click on close. I'm going to close my global J define dialog box, and let's just scroll down to control 4. Ah, there it is. My two-stroke J define. All right, I need to save my changes in my default keyboard map and close the default keyboard map. Okay, so let's go to our two-stroke outline here, and I want to use the control and the number 4 for my JDefine. So hold the control key down, press the number 4. My global JDefine dialog box appears. I can now type in the word Jackson, and it globals throughout the transcript. All right, so let's just say, how about this? This is a two-stroke. I don't know why it didn't define. Control and the number 2. And that was supposed to be Matthew, right? Ah, I know why. Oh, no. Let's click entire file here and click OK. All right, so we have created a two-stroke D-define macro, a two-stroke J-define macro. So please write those down so that you can start using them. All right, so we know that when we are editing in a transcript and we come across a word that we wanted to look up on the internet, it's really easy to do that. Let me see, let me just define, I'm going to define Oak Street here. So I want to put that in my personal dictionary, and I've made a really cool macro, control the number 2, and Oak Street, and enter. So if I take my cursor and I right click on Oak and a menu box appears, I can click on the internet search and the internet's going to open up and I'm going to get a bunch of options for Oak Street. Okay, so that's one way to research on the internet. But what if I wanted to record a macro? I could do that very easily as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and put my cursor in front of Oak Street. I'm going to now hold the Alt key down, press the T, press the M, press the R for record. Then I'm going to hold the Alt key down and press the E for edit. And I want to press the N for internet search. And you can't see it, but the internet did open up on my screen. Now I'm going to click on the stop button to stop recording the macro. And I'm going to type internet search in my file name. Again, I have assign to key in keyboard map selected. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to double click on my default keyboard map. All right, and what key would I like to assign to my internet search? How about the F11 key? So let's scroll down to F11. And I only want the F11 by itself. Okay, so my F11, make sure that internet search is selected, and I click on assign. Catalyst is telling me that I already have it. That's okay. I'm going to replace it. So let's scroll down to our F keys. So I just press the F on my keyboard. I'm going to scroll down. Let's see, F11, I'm looking in my key column, looking in my function column, play macro. I'm looking in my macro file name, internet research. or internet search. Okay, so write that down. All right, so let's go back to our transcript after we save and close our default keyboard map. All right, so if I wanted to look up Oak Street, I put my cursor in front of Oak, press the F11, and my internet opened. All right, so using our macros that we've created, especially our ddefine and jdefine, please edit this transcript, create a PDF of this transcript, and upload this transcript to the final examination link in class. All right, so happy editing and thank you.